Fairies, please share your message with us. Oh, fairy spotting. Oh, I love this. Have you seen a fairy? Do you think you've seen a fairy? Do you believe you've seen a fairy? So believing in fairies is just the first step, because when we see with our eyes, we believe what we see, but when you believe, you're more open to seeing. Do you get that? So just seeing is not always believing. Believing is seeing. And you can see with your inner eye and your physical eyes, and also you can see, you can sense, you can feel when the fairies are around. Very often they will present themselves as little specks of light darting around, and they'll just catch out the corner of your eye and then they'll disappear, or perhaps they'll stay there for a while. Sometimes they come with a fragrance, and for me, I get the smell of what is it? Toffee apples. It's like the smell of toffee apples, and it's so sweet. And I've had this in the middle of the woods, and there were definitely no toffee apples around, because if there were, I would have eaten them. I don't think I've had a toffee apple since I was a little girl. I think I'm gonna either make some or buy some when the fun fair can eventually come back to town again. At the full moon or at dusk, just when the sun's going down and the stars are coming out, is the perfect time to go fairy spotting. You just go out into nature, perhaps sit by a tree or in a field or something, and be receptive. You could say something like, "Fairies, fairies, come to me as I sit beneath this tree," if you're sitting beneath a tree. Or you could say, "Fairies, fairies, come to me," wherever you may be. Just be receptive. Try not to have any expectations, because the way fairies can come to you, first of all, they'll only come and show themselves to you if they want to. Keep that in mind. And be receptive, expect the unexpected, because they can present in any number of ways. And very often they will scan you first. They'll scan your vibes, your aura, to see, is this a fairy loving person? And by fairy loving, I mean, does this person love, respect, honour nature? I'm pretty certain most of you who are watching now do honour, love and respect nature, and that is integral if you want to form a bond, a relationship, a friendship with the fairies. So for example, if you're out, you're going out and you see a bottle or a bit of litter, do you walk by or do you pick it up? Now, it's always a good idea to pick it up, because the fairies will be watching. They'll be aware of how you treat nature, and once you show your respect for nature, then they may very well approach you. So perhaps you're an environmentalist, or you petition, you do things online, or you get out there and you hold your placards and you do stuff to actively stand up for nature. So this is a way that you can encourage fairy spotting, in the sense that when you love nature, the fairies will be kind of more attracted to you, and especially if you're out in nature. And as I said, don't have any preconceived ideas or expectations, because fairies can appear in many varied forms. They're shapeshifters, they're magical beings. So you might not get the fairy with the tutu and the wings and the wands. You might not get the fairy with the tutu, the wings and the wand, but you might as well. I mean, I've seen a gigantic fairy in a tutu with wings and wands, but she was as tall as a tree, but that is another story. So when you get yourself into the right state of mind, in a receptive space, then the fairies can manifest to you in the way that they wish, and also in a way that you can accept and receive them, because very often people will explain their experiences away. I went fairy spotting with somebody very dear to me, and we saw fairies. We went on Midsummer's Eve and we definitely saw fairies, and then as time went on, he was saying like, are you sure that was a fairy? And it's like, yes, it definitely was. In fact, it wasn't just one fairy, there was literally hundreds of them. We went to find them and they found us and we found them. But But don't be disappointed if you don't see them in the way that you expect. Like I said, expect it in different ways, and it can take time. So you might want to just return to the same place every night or every few days or every week, and so they'll kind of get used to your energy, and then you might notice subtle things at first happening, or sometimes quite overt things, like they can occasionally catch your dress on the brambles and things like this. They are mischievous, they do like to play, so as long as you're game for a laugh and to play too, then all is well. But do be mindful to always have your protection in place, because there are lots of beings out in nature, not only fairies, there are all types of beings, and not all of them are as friendly as other beings, so always be mindful to do your spiritual, your psychic protection. And I do offer some guidance on this in my guidebook for Oracle of the Fairies, but also you'll find some, I've done a couple of protection meditations in my recent star signs video for all signs, so if you flick through that, it is actually time stamped on YouTube if you want to find them. They're very simple, but they're a really good idea if you are embarking on any type of spiritual work. So happy fairy spotting. Let me know if you've had a fairy experience, if you've had a fairy sighting, or if something's happened where you're not quite sure. I'm always interested to hear your stories, so do share them. I wish you so much love, light, joy, and magical fairy blessings. Take care.